Okay, great morning again, everyone. Thank you again for your patience. We're going to get started because we do have two individuals that will need have fit in this rescheduling. So I just wanted you all to just give a moment of silence for my very loyal Lenovo who died this morning. As soon as I admitted a few folks from the waiting room, it just went out. So uh, we're here and we just keep going. So Dr. Smith and Amber both are having some scheduling conflicts. So Amber and Dr. Smith need to jump off at 11 o'clock. So Dr. Smith, can you do about 15 minutes and then Amber pick up the next 15 minutes and we'll just keep going? Okay, so can everyone see my screen? All right, excellent, excellent. So I'm going to skip through some things in the interest of time, but here's the thing. I really want us to focus on this is what all of the work we do is all about. We are in an unprecedented situation requiring an unprecedented response, but I want us to focus on the children and families we serve. What happened this morning is just life right now. There are some unexpected situations that are happening, but we as child care providers, educational professionals, community organizations have to just keep going and encourage our kids to step over the obstacles, encourage our families to step over the obstacles and just keep going. So that's my little spiel for this to just keep going. So in the interest of time, I'm going to skip through our core values, mission and vision statement, and just keep going. And as I admit individuals to the waiting room, I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Kim. With her virtual and learning instructional plan, and just let me know when you need me to advance it so I can stay as host to continue to admit individuals from the waiting room. Dr. Smith.
Okay, thank you. Good morning to all. Thea, if you could hit from current slide at the very top.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And so with our virtual learning instructional plan, the entire plan is located on our website. When you go to www.jackson.k12.ms.us, you will see an alert or a rolling screen, and it will say virtual learning plan. But I did pick a few points out as it relates to how you can help partner with JPS, since you do house some of our JPS scholars doing this virtual learning experience. Next slide, please.
Okay, give me just a moment. Okay.
Okay. So we're just going to talk about a little bit about the netiquette and the learning environment. You can keep going. And so we are asking our students to follow these expectations, whether they are on Zoom, Google Meet, either one, it doesn't matter. As long as they are on time, as they log into their classes, that they have a quiet place, they are prepared. So if they're bringing in their devices, we know that sometimes they may need access to a plug for a charger to charge their computer, just in case the battery goes down, that they are visible in the camera. If they're in your facilities, we know they should have on appropriate clothing. A lot of the time students forget to mute, such as us as well. So just making sure they follow these Zoom expectations. They're focused, attentive, and being an active participant, and they are being respectful. So these are just our expectations that we have for our students as we interact with them in our teleconferencing platforms. And it may not be Zoom, it may be some others that is allowing them to teleconference with their teachers. Next slide. So we are using two learning management systems, Google Classroom and Canvas. And so I do know of another child care provider that has asked parents to provide this information, because this information for login is sent in to the student. And so because you are not listed as that parent, as that child's guardian on their records, the schools will not be able to give you this information. So this will be the login information for the links for the video conferencing, or to access their classes in Google Classroom and or Canvas. You will need to secure that information from the parent if you have not done so already for the learning management system. Next slide. And so this is just a little bit about Google Classroom that we're using with elementary pre-K through 5. It's the platform in which teachers manage the coursework. They are able to create classes, distribute assignments, grade, and send feedback. And so they can engage with the platform to ensure scholars are maximizing the various components for learning. So when a student in your setting logs in, and then with appropriate distancing, if you have people assigned to work with those students, they're able to see just what the child is seeing once they're logged in. Next slide. And that's the same thing as well with our middle school and high school students alike. Next slide. So with our virtual schedules, if they're in with you, or they're in your after school program, they may be on synchronous or asynchronous, which means if they're in synchronous, that means they're doing their work at the same time the live lesson is taking place. And that mostly will be in the morning times to about 1:30 with our elementary, just depending on what grade level. And then with our middle and high school, it pretty much will be morning and afternoon. In high school, beginning at 9 o'clock until 4 o'clock. And so that's when those live sessions are taking place. But if you are working, if that child is coming in asynchronous in your after school program that you may be providing, and they still need to do their work, then you would definitely need those logins to assist students with getting on and completing their activities in the afternoons. And that's after the sessions have taken place. Next slide. So again, this is just synchronous learning and asynchronous learning defined, and I just gave you a brief version or definition of what those two terms mean. Next slide. All right, so here's an example of the elementary schedule. And so again, this information is obtained in our virtual plan that is on our website, so that you will know, some of you may be providing extra support to students, whether it's mental or physical health, providing any type of other related services. So, or you may want to have an opportunity where you are supporting an elementary school in a different level. With different resources or what have you. So this schedule will help you to see when to engage with the school. For example, if you would like to, let's just say, do an activity with a group of second grade students at 8 o'clock, where you'll see they are in class at 8 o'clock. So this schedule will help you to better plan when to offer some supports to those students or whatever resources you're trying to provide to the school. And the same thing, and so you'll see in the afternoons how it switches up with our pre-K, K and 2, and then 3rd through 5th, and the breaks for lunch and how they spend the remainder of the day. Again, this document is located in our virtual plan, and they have a pullout that says a link just for the schedules. So you don't have to necessarily go through the document. You can actually click on the link and go directly to the schedule, and that link is on our website. Next slide. And this is an example of our middle school schedule. And so you will see that from 10:35 until 12:40 is when students are going to lunch. They have planning for teachers. So that's when that may be a time that you would like to engage with our middle school scholars. Next slide. And then here's the high school schedule. So we have a general bell, and it works the same way with middle and high. We have a general bell 80% day was like, for example, on yesterday, we do have district professional development days in which students attend school for 80% of the day. And so you will see those times as well when they go to lunch. And it's pretty much around about the same time each day, unless we're on a 60% day. And we normally only have a 60% day, the day that we get out for winter break and the last day of school. So that bell schedule is normally only used twice a year. The 80% day schedule is only used once a month. And then again, we had one for August. And so we have about 7 of those days, but they take that time once a month. But 90% of the time, our students will be on the general bell schedule. So you can see again how the high school schedule runs as well. Next slide. And so just a little bit about our special services. Not aware of which babies of ours that you are servicing throughout the day, but we just want to make sure that you know that those accommodations and things are still put in place for our students with exceptional services. Next slide. And so even with our homeless students, we do have a homeless liaison, which is Dr. Faith Strong, and her information also is located on our website. And so this support is in place for students that are what we call in transition with housing. And this is pretty much our homeless students. So I'm not sure again which of our babies that you have that you are supporting in your setting, but if you need assistance with helping one of your students with and you know that they're homeless, please reach out to Dr. Faith Strong. Next slide. And so communication. I know a lot of times, and many of you are in the social media world, and I know you see a lot of things being posted that's going on in Jackson Public Schools, but this is the way, this is legitimate, current information. And so these are just the platforms that we use to communicate. We do have, of course, our website, for parents to receive grades and information about attendance. They have Active Parent. We do send out a newsletter to our school community. We have Blackboard Connect, which the community refers to as our robocalls. Schools are also able to utilize school status to send calls and texts to parents, email, and then our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And each time you click from one page to the next on our website, you will see those apps on the right-hand side of our website. And so you can click on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube to get information as well. Our media relations department does a wonderful job with posting on, especially Facebook, almost every day about updates, and just like even with keeping the community informed of not only what's going on, but even grows and glows that we have. So just make sure that you get your information from the right source, and the best source is going to our website, and also following along. Find our page on Facebook, like it, so that you can get those notifications when information is posted as it relates to Jackson Public Schools. Next slide. Then we have community support. And so we work with our Office of Climate and Wellness as it relates to COVID-19. So if you have questions or parents have questions and you would like to provide that information, if one of your parents asks you some information as it relates to COVID-19 and how we respond with certain things in Jackson, the email address is there, and that's covid19@jackson.k12.ms.us. And then we also work along with our nurses department as well to keep the most updated information as it relates to COVID community support. And I think that may be the last slide, Ms. Faulkner.
Yes, ma'am, it is. Okay, so if you all will give me just a moment, because of the scheduling, we do need to, Otha, and I know you all were originally set to present next, but I need to move Amber. So if you give me just a moment, we'll need to hear from Amber first, okay?
All
All
right.
right, Miss Amber.
Thank you, ma'am. Can
Yes,
everyone hear me?
ma'am.
Okay.
I will.
All right. Great, great, great. So
Yes.
I'll kind of make this quick, but also very informative. So as we know, as the virtual learning plan has kind of already detailed, we know that the school day will typically end around 3:30. However, we know that we are going to still continue to provide those safe spaces for our students, at least until maybe 5:30 or 6 o'clock. So how do you transition to those particular activities? So one of the good ways to kind of transition from the end of the school day into after school is to utilize physical activities. Those can be done in person and they can also be done virtually. A great program that we've been able to use is called Scholastics, where they kind of have a lot of activities for the students to be engaged in. From that point, the next additional activities you want to provide is homework help. You can go forward for me, Thea. And with the homework help, and this is really where a lot of families and teachers are very appreciative for the supports we're able to provide here and how we're working with the students to provide clarifications on questions they may have. What is going to be key here is communicating with the families and also with the schools in terms of, do they want the homework complete? Do they want to make sure the homework is accurate? Or they just kind of want you to work on and provide some guiding questions? And so there will be some good conversations to again have with your parents, but then also with the school day teacher to ask what's the best way to approach that. Additionally, especially any strategies that may be beneficial and good to use so that we're all kind of speaking and singing from the same page. After homework help, you then have what we call the powerhouse of our after-school programs, which are our enrichments. And that's really where a lot of great development is happening. This is really when we have a lot of students more engaged in what's taking place and really to kind of build those skills in terms of making them productive citizens. And most often these activities are interactive, they're project focused, they have opportunities to collaborate with others, they're fun ways to kind of utilize the information. And you want to make sure that the activities are a complement and a supplement to what they learn during the regular school day, and not necessarily having those same things. And bringing around real life experiences is also really, really important. I know Dr. Smith had mentioned previously before that there are some standards that will be very key in identifying what supports to put in place and how to link those activities to the academic concepts the students are receiving during the day. Thank you, Thea. You can move to the next one. And then we all know, especially in this time, how important social emotional learning is in having those activities. You can go to the next one. But what's really key there is not just looking at the activities, but it's really around the structure, it's the interactions, it's the relationships, it's the positive youth development that you're able to do within your program. That's really key in making sure that we are supporting students not only in their academic development, but in their personal development, self-development, self-esteem. But then what's also key is that you're also looking at the social emotional health of your staff, of your families, and also your partners. Self-care right now is really, really important, especially in this new environment. We're talking about how we save during COVID-19. I just kind of had a conversation with one of my staff persons when she wasn't feeling well, and I told her, I said, you know, in the past, we would try to work through it. We'll kind of say, you know what, the program needs me, I need to be there, but that's not necessarily where we are right now. What we need to do is make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, we're taking care of our children, our families, and our partners, so that we can continue to provide those resources that's really important to them. So where can you find some of these activities? You can go forward from Thea. One great use resource is something that the Mississippi Statewide After-School Network commissioned along with the 50 State After-School Network and really guided by Georgia. And although these are summer activity guides, they're focused on social emotional learning. There are 150 activities and they span from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade. There's opportunities for professional development, but also information around enhancing family engagement, but then also what are some key things to be looking for as you're interacting with students, so you can identify what are some additional supports you may need to put in place as they're kind of wrestling with dealing with the current reality that we're in. And this resource is located on our website that you can see there. An additional resource, we go forward from Thea. which was commissioned and paid for by the Mott Foundation, which is one of our key supporters of Statewide After School Network, is the Mizzen. And it's an app that you can find in the App Store and Google Play. Not only does it have over 1,000 after-school activities, it has best practices, it has tips, and you can also use that program to track your attendance and also to have communication with your staff within that app. They want it to be an all-be-all resource that after-school programs across the state and across the nation could be able to utilize. And all of the information is there carefully vetted and have national partners to develop those activities, such as NASA, the National Geographic, and then also the Jazz Consortium. You go forward for me, thank you, Thea. And of course, you can join us for the Mississippi Statewide After School Network to get updates, just to kind of share with us your ideas, share with your programs. If you have any additional questions about what are some things that you can provide, any guidance, we're there. You see my email address there before, and I think we're probably going to send a PowerPoint slide out to everyone. So unfortunately, if I'm not able to answer any questions now, I most definitely will follow up to make sure I answer those at a later time. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Okay, good deal. All right, give me just a moment to go back to Boys and Girls Club. Because of the rescheduling, Penny was not able to be with us, but Otha Kane will present. Otha, you ready?
I am ready, ma'am.
All right, take it away.
All right, so good morning, everybody. I'm Otha Kane. I am the Teen and Media Services coordinator for the Boys and Girls Club. I do want to just take a quick moment to recognize that we do have several team members on this call with us as well. We have our Vice President of Operations, Naomi Jackson, on the call. We also have Alicia on the call as well, and Mr. Lacey, who works on our educational side as well. I think that's all. So I may have seen Rosalind as well, but I'm not quite sure. Nonetheless, it is good to be here with you this morning to talk a little bit about what we did at the Boys and Girls Club. And we thought that we would start by giving an overview of what we did this summer. And so our whole premise this morning is talking about safety in virtual spaces. And we were open this summer when most organizations were closed, not all, but most. And we felt that inconvenience can be turned into an opportunity. And if not us, then who would meet the needs of the young people that we serve? So we opened our doors in June and went straight through the summer with no incidences. I want to just talk a little bit about some of the protocols that we put in place, and I'll talk a little bit more about them when we get down to our classroom. But one of the things that we did this summer is that we offered regular programming, and we gave the kids an opportunity to gather, to express themselves, and to engage in activities. At the Boys and Girls Club, we certainly do believe in reaching the kids or our young people from a holistic point of view. Some of those safety measures that we put in place over the summer, which helped guide our COVID-19 response plan, was that we take daily temperature checks at least 3 times a day upon entering our buildings. We take temperature checks at lunchtime, at the end of the day. We have hand washing and sanitizing stations throughout the building. Daily cleaning and programming areas is happening. Strict social distancing policies are enforced. Our staff and our club members are required to wear masks. So we are following the protocols of our health officials here in the state, as well as our officials from the CDC. All right, so you can go to the next slide for me, please, Thea. One more time. Next one, and one more. That's the summer overview. There we go. And so serving who, back to the previous one, serving who we serve.
Okay.
There we go. Serving who we serve. So Thea talked a lot in previous calls about outreach and not serving new people, really knowing and understanding the community and the clients that we serve. And we've been following that protocol because we know the young people that were coming in and out of our clubs. That's not to say that we won't assist or take on new individuals, but we're not doing any deliberate outreach. But knowing our kid clubs or the kids in the club is very important to us. Knowing the parents, knowing organizations and partnering with those organizations is very important to us. Our directors know the right questions to ask, and they go through a real serious screening process. So we know the families, we know the parents, and we know the other partners as well. All right, our classrooms. Next slide. This is a big one because we had to readjust. We had to readjust with the way we were thinking about serving. We had to readjust in our engagement. We had to readjust our expectations. We had to readjust our anticipated outcomes because these are, as Thea eloquently says all the time, unprecedented times. And unprecedented times call for unprecedented service. And so once we readjusted our mindset and we realized that we are here to meet the needs of young people, we said we need to partner with JPS in a holistic kind of way. And so we've become a classroom for the Jackson Public School District. These shots that you're seeing now are from our Walker unit over on Raymond Road. And so social distancing is practiced in terms of how the students are spaced out. We have aligned with the mission of the Jackson Public School District and the other districts that we serve. I will tell you guys this, if you are looking for, and Dr. Smith said this earlier, if you're looking for the best resource, the best resource is to get on the Jackson Public Schools website because all of the information is right there. It is the best portal in terms of how you can design your spaces to meet the needs of the young people in this school district. Again, safety protocols are in place, temperature checks at least 3 times a day, hand washing and sanitizing stations throughout the building. One of the things that we did learn in this virtual classroom space is that we had to put some safety measures in place on our computer systems, right? On all of our hardware systems, because we know that we have active young people and their attention span can be shifted or moved into other arenas. So we had to put filters in place so that they would not be allowed to get on inappropriate sites. Again, I cannot stress enough that the Jackson Public Schools website is the best portal for information. There you will be able to understand a child's full schedule, just like Dr. Smith articulated. And JPS has gone through virtual training with us. And not only that, we have been able, in some of our clubs in particular, at our Walker unit, they did an in-person parents call, but at our Capitol unit, they did a virtual parents meeting. And so parents are checking in, parents are understanding assignments, parents are understanding classroom times, classroom activities, and it is incumbent upon us as providers to understand that information as well. We can't answer any questions if we don't really know what's going on. So if we're not intimately familiar, if we're not intimately familiar with the flow, with the schedule of the day, then we can't really answer any questions, and we're not really being of service to our young people. I'll tell you what our staff is doing. Our staff know that doing these virtual settings, no sitting time for them. They're walking around constantly. They're monitoring the young people, ensuring they're checking in to their Zoom meetings on time. So it's a constant monitoring of that. All right, next slide, please. And then finally, we mentioned this earlier, but I want to just highlight it again, knowing your customers, knowing the young people that you are serving every single day. By virtue of what happened to us at 9 o'clock, I will tell you this, it is important to be able to adjust. I tell the young people that come in of our doors that I see on a regular that, God grant us with an extra dose of patience, an extra dose of understanding, and an extra dose of service. So we've got to be able to adjust and help our young people understand that we've got to push through even during difficult times. Because I know I was frustrated this morning. I was already running a little late and I was like, oh, I can't get on. What's going on? And then I realized that the whole system was having a problem. Can you imagine how our young people feel when they plug in and can't get connectivity, when they plug in and maybe somebody who's supposed to be there isn't there? So we've got to be able to walk our young people through the process with grace, with patience, and with love. And you can only do that by knowing the customers that you serve. And so it's important for us to know not only the students, but to know the parents, to know all available resources. One of the things that our Vice President, Naomi Jackson, did, knowing partners and resources, she was able to tap in to a resource to provide masks, for all of our young people and for staff. She was able to plug into that. So it's important for us to really take that extra step to meet the needs of the people that we serve. And so aligning ourselves with the mission of JPS, creating this virtual hub for our students to plug in. We're providing technology devices for those that don't have it, and those that do, they can come in and plug in and we serve them. It really is about meeting the expectations of the students that we serve. That's all I got, Thea. Thank you.
All right, excellent, excellent. Okay, so thank you all again. As Otha said, we just have to keep pushing. Things happen unexpectedly, and I think it is a lesson for us to learn and to share with young people that this is an unprecedented situation. Things will happen. Technology and computers are wonderful when they work, right? But they are not always working. And we just have to keep going. And we just have to, I hate to use the term figure it out, but that's where we are, because things are changing and evolving, and we have to be responsive to that and just be fluid enough to extend grace and to adjust what we are offering to make sure that we are in real time meeting the needs of the scholars that we serve. So thank you for your persistence because this has been an interesting time. I hesitate to ask for questions because Amber and Kim Smith, okay, she's still here. Okay, so great. We will open the floor for questions. And let me make sure everyone is unmuted. If you will unmute yourselves, if you have a question.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, ma'am. Charles Lacey from the Boys and Girls Club. How are you this morning?
All is well.
Great, great. I guess my question is a little general. What in the way of human or material resources are available from your partnership to the different partnering entities that are engaged in this endeavor? What type of human or material resources are available?
Candid answer. You know the cereal called Nut and Honey? No, I'm teasing. We are doing our best to collect resources to distribute to the schools. So I know that there is a conversation about staffing that I may need to see if Dr. Smith can address. But as far as the resources, personal protection equipment is in short order. We are distributing those to schools because we have pre-K, kindergarten, and third grade scholars who do have to go in person for vision, hearing screenings, and their reading assessments. So it's super imperative to us that they have the right amount of gloves, masks, disinfectant wipes, disinfecting spray. And we are dispatching individuals to just meet the needs of the 50 plus schools that we serve. So I think that's our capacity, that's our bandwidth right now. And if we can have you partner with the school, we'll try to figure it out from there.
Okay. You kind of dabbed into one of the other questions I have as far as the beginning of the year assessment testing to see where the students are, because if we're going to be effective in because everything now is kind of based on an average of everybody being at the same place academically, which we know is not the case. And so you kind of answered that question in reference to when would the beginning of the year assessment be conducted with I don't know, I guess JPS uses the STAR region assessment. I'm not real sure what they use. Dr. Smith, what do they use?
Dr. Smith, are you still on the call?
Oh.
think she may have had to drop off. So if you don't get your question answered,
Yes, ma'am.
the email is ki.smith@jackson.k12.ms.us. I will also save the chat, and we can attempt to answer questions from there. Okay, what is your biggest needs for community-based services right now? One of that is why we're having this meeting. If you serve scholars that are a part of your ministry, a part of your organization, families that you know, and you want to provide in-person virtual instructions, understand what I said, that you have relationships with those families. We really need our families to hear, don't let strangers in your house. Whether that's when they knock on the door or whether they knock on the camera. This is not the time for outreach. If you have an ongoing rapport with families and with scholars, then that's what we need. So if everyone supports their own circle, hopefully we'll be able to take care of everyone. I see Juanita is on the line with the A-team. They have a built-in relationship with the parents and those scholars. So we need Juanita to continue to figure out how they can support those scholars virtually, but not to expand that, because again, this is not the time for us to do an expansion. Let everybody take care of their own church members, their own community members, whatever. But we, you know, more than anything, we need to ensure safety. So if you can provide the virtual supports, if you can provide in-person childcare with individuals that you already have a rapport with, that would be awesome. Right now, we have roughly 900 high school scholars without devices. We are trying to work through the logistics of the Internet Essentials program, whether we go with Comcast or AT&T, so that our families have internet service at home, connectivity at home. Hotspots are wonderful, but the weather is changing and it's not the most conducive thing for a scholar to have to leave home and sit in a parking lot to access the internet. So that's one of the other things that we're doing. And if as a community-based service, if you have access to any personal protection equipment, resources, sponsors who would be willing to sponsor families. If you have a device that you can donate, please contact Pastor CJ Rhodes at Mount Helm Baptist Church. He is leading an effort to collect devices. He has a technology company that will clean them up and distribute them directly to families. Jackson Public Schools does not want you bringing the devices to us. We want you to get them in the hands of the scholars. And if you need help with distributing that, I have a campus contact at every one of our schools who is identifying families who need devices and connectivity. I can connect the two of you together to get the devices and the service in the hands of the families as quickly as possible.
See, I want to jump in real quick, back to part of Mr. Lacey's point in terms of human capital, human resources from the district. I will say that we have been in communication with Dr. Smith, and she is going to do a unit-wide training for our staffers that are running our virtual spaces, as to, to ensure that they are up to speed, that they know what to look for and all of that. She's done it with our capital unit, but we're going to expand that across all of our units so that we're all on the same page and running. And to your point of collecting devices, the Boys and Girls Club has teamed up with the City of Jackson, Mayor Chokwe and Tar Lumumba, and we are collecting those devices, and we're going to do a distribution of those really soon. We've created a running list of needs from schools in the district, and we're going to be providing that very, very shortly. So keep your eyes and ears open for that as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Oltha. And yeah, the technical assistance I think will be huge, because we definitely need to be on the same page to make sure, for those of you who may have joined us a little late, one of the things Dr. Smith mentioned is making sure that you or on the JPS website regularly for updates, but the virtual learning plan and its schedule is there, so that if you wanted to plan some type of enrichment activity for our scholars, that you are cognizant of the schedule that is in place for elementary, middle, and high school scholars. So the information is there, but this is not a one-stop situation. If we need to repeat this workshop that we did this morning, we're more than willing to do so. And we have other things in the coffers, other things that are coming down the pipe to continue to respond to the needs of our families and our scholars. How will services for special needs students be met? So the special, there will be quite a bit of in-person instruction for special needs scholars. For specific information about that, please call 601-960-8700. 960-8700 and ask to speak to Dr. Talitha Bingham. Dr. Talitha Bingham is our is the individual who works with our special needs program, and she can answer specific questions for you about how the needs of our special needs scholars are being met. Again, that's Dr. Talitha Bingham, and just call the main office, 960-8700, and ask to be connected to Dr. Bingham. You can also go on the JPS website and look for departments and find it that way. Any other questions? Any other questions? Well, as they say in the church house, hearing none, it sounds like we have addressed most of the questions you all had. And for those of you that joined us late, we had some technical difficulties after, I think we admitted about 25, 30 people. The system just shut down, and I apologize for the inconvenience, but it was a lesson of technology. But it's also a life lesson that maybe our scholars will experience this as well. And we need to just say, keep going, we'll get through this. But we're not only will get through it, let's excel. Let's look at the opportunities that this is affording us that maybe we have not had before. That's going to look different in every situation, but let's just keep talking and keep standing with our scholars, okay? Last call for questions. Any questions, anybody? Okay, if you, we will make the PowerPoint available on our website. And if you have any other questions, feel free to give us an email or a call. My email is on the JPS website, but it's tfaulkner, FAULKNER @jackson.k12.ms.us. Y'all have a great day. Be well, stay safe, and thank you so much for standing with us. Have a great day. Thank you.